Rooftop, Backflip, Russia. In July of 2013, Pavel Kashin stood on a ledge 3 feet wide, nearly 200 feet above the streets of St. Petersburg, Russia. He was 22 years old. Within the free-running community, his name carried weight. He was not considered a beginner pushing boundaries for attention. He was regarded by those who knew the discipline as one of the finest practitioners in the world, someone who had spent years developing the kind of physical control and spatial awareness that most athletes never reach. St. Petersburg had become one of the centers of the rooftop free-running movement in Russia. The city's dense Soviet-era apartment blocks, flat-roofed and accessible, drew young men who saw the skyline not as a boundary but as a terrain. Kashin was among those who had made that environment his own. He knew these buildings. He had been on rooftops before. That July day, he was not alone. A friend had come along to photograph him. This was standard practice within the community. Documentation was part of the culture, the footage and photographs serving both as personal record and as content shared widely among other practitioners. The building beneath them was a 16-story residential apartment block. The ledge Kashin chose was at the roof's edge. It measured approximately 3 feet across. He had performed backflips before. The movement is demanding but not exotic for someone operating at his level. It requires generating enough rotational momentum to complete a full backward rotation in the air and landing with both feet planted cleanly. On flat ground with sufficient space, it is a controlled movement. On a ledge 3 feet wide, 200 feet above concrete, there is no margin. Every kilogram of force, every degree of rotation, every millimeter of the landing has to be exact. The friend raised the camera. Kashin committed to the movement. The backflip began correctly. The photograph captured him mid-rotation, fully inverted above the ledge, his body completing the arc. Then, on the landing, something failed. He lost his footing. The surface held nothing to catch him. He fell from the rooftop of the 16-story building and struck the pavement below. Emergency services were called. Police attended the scene. Pavel Kashin died on impact with the ground. He was buried in St. Petersburg. His family, in the days that followed, chose to release the final photograph publicly. Not to sensationalize his death, but as a warning to others. Free-running Sweden posted a tribute the following day. Hostel jump Portugal. Carlos Lopez IV had spent more than a decade building a career that required him to put his body in situations most people avoid on instinct. He was 25 years old and had trained in martial arts for 12 years, beginning with Taekwondo and expanding into parkour and the full range of movement disciplines required of a working Hollywood stuntman. He had attended the University of North Carolina School of the Arts. He had worked on productions including The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, 22 Jump Street, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Olympus Has Fallen. He understood how bodies move through space and what they can and cannot survive. He worked alongside people whose job was to make dangerous movements survivable. His skills were not amateur. In late September and early October of 2014, Lopez was in Lisbon, Portugal. He was staying at the Goodnight Hostel, a popular budget accommodation in the city's Baixa district. His girlfriend was with him. The hostel occupied a building in Lisbon's dense, historic urban center, the kind of architecture where buildings sit close together, balconies facing balconies across narrow interior courtyards. In the early hours of October 2nd, 2014, at approximately 4 a.m., Lopez was on the 5th floor of the hostel. What happened next was confirmed by police investigation and reported by multiple news organizations. He attempted to jump from the 5th floor window of the hostel to a balcony on the building directly opposite, across the interior courtyard. The jump failed. He fell approximately 16 meters, more than 50 feet, into the interior courtyard below. His girlfriend was in the room. When she realized what had happened, she alerted the hostel staff. Staff contacted police and emergency services. A neighbor in the building, Natasha Gamma, 77 years old, heard the impact and looked down into the courtyard. She found Lopez on the ground below, and later told reporters she had never seen so much blood. Police and emergency services arrived. Lopez died from the injuries he sustained in the fall. Investigators ruled the death accidental. Dale Gerard of the North Carolina Stuntmen's Association confirmed his death to the press. Powerline, Florida. On the night of August 1st, 2018, David Harrison was 20 years old and living in Delray Beach, Florida. He was out in downtown West Palm Beach with 2 friends. What began as a nighttime parkour session through the urban streets of the city became the incident that would kill him, though he would not die for another 3 weeks. The group made their way to the back of a building at 314 Clematis Street. They climbed a metal pipe on the exterior of the building and accessed the rooftop. From there, they moved across the downtown skyline on foot, eventually reaching 100 South Dixie Highway. Between 100 and 120 South Dixie Highway, they encountered a power pole. Harrison attempted to walk across it. He touched a live wire belonging to Florida Power and Light. His friends witnessed what happened next. There was a bright flash, then a loud explosive sound. Harrison fell to the ground. The clothes on his body had been burned away. He was on fire. A witness nearby called 911 and told the dispatcher that a man was on fire. One of Harrison's friends removed his own shirt and used it to extinguish the flames burning on Harrison's head. Emergency services arrived at the scene. Harrison was transported first to St. Mary's Medical Center in West Palm Beach. The injuries he had sustained were catastrophic. Source reporting confirmed that more than 80% of his body had been burned. He was transferred from St. Mary's to the burn unit at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami, where the most severe burn cases in South Florida are treated. He remained in the burn unit for approximately 3 weeks. Harrison died at Jackson Memorial Hospital. West Palm Beach police confirmed his death. Balcony jump Moscow. Yuri Eliseyev had lived 2 parallel lives since he was a child. He was a chess prodigy. By 12 years old, he was competing at a level that earned national recognition, and by 17, he had been awarded the title of Grandmaster. He won the World Junior Championship in the under-16 category in 2012. He won the 2016 Moscow Open. His rating of 2,614 placed him 42nd among players in Russia and 212th in the world. He was also, by the accounts of those who knew him, drawn to heights and physical daring in a way that existed entirely outside the chess world. On the night of November 26th, 2016, Eliseyev was in his apartment near Pyatnitsky Highway in Moscow with several friends. At approximately 11:30 p.m., something prompted him to attempt to move between the apartment's balcony and the balcony of a neighboring unit on the same floor. The exact mechanics of the attempt were not fully agreed upon by all sources. Grandmaster Daniil Dubov, who knew Eliseyev, wrote on social media that he had tried to climb from a window onto a balcony. Other accounts described a direct balcony-to-balcony jump. What was confirmed by the Russian Investigative Committee was the result. Eliseyev was on the 12th floor. He lost his grip. He fell. On the way down, his body struck the first-floor balcony and a stair railing before landing on the asphalt below, near a utility room at the base of the building. The friends who had been in the apartment with him witnessed the fall. Emergency services were called. Eliseyev was found on the asphalt. He died before reaching the hospital. The cause of death was confirmed as multiple injuries from the fall. The Russian Chess Federation released a statement of condolences. He was 20 years old. Maritime Museum, Italy. Ray Connor had grown up in Sundberg on the south mainland of Shetland, one of the most remote inhabited islands in the United Kingdom. He had found parkour and built something from it, not just a practice for himself, but a teaching career. He became a coach for Northern Focus Parkour in Shetland, working with young people in the community and teaching sessions at venues including Kirkwall Grammar School in Orkney. Those who trained under him described him as a respected coach and someone who was well liked in every environment he entered. In the summer of 2019, Connor had taken work as a yacht hand. The vessel was the Hampshire II, a super yacht owned by British billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe. The ship had docked in the port of Imperia, a city on the Italian Riviera in Liguria. Connor was 23 years old. At some point during his time in Imperia, he made his way to the Maritime Museum in the city. He climbed onto the roof of the museum building. Before the fall, he sent a video and a selfie to his sister showing himself on the roof. Sometime after sending those messages, Connor fell through a section of the museum's roof. The material he fell through was plastic, a skylight or similar roofing structure that gave way beneath his weight or under impact. An alarm at the museum building was triggered. A patrol was dispatched to check the site. The patrol found nothing and cleared the scene. Connor did not return to the yacht. His sister and crew members reported him missing when he failed to come back. A search followed. He was eventually found dead inside the museum building, beneath where the roof had given way. By the time he was discovered, it was too late for any medical intervention. The investigation by police in Imperia confirmed the circumstances of the fall. His parkour community later applied for a memorial bench in his honor at Heddles Park in Lerwick, Shetland. Metro New Year, Paris. Anura Newman was 17 years old and known to nearly everyone around him as Nye. He had co-founded the Brooman Parkour Group alongside Rika Brewer and had already free-run across multiple countries. He was from Aldershot in Hampshire, England, and within the free-running world, he had a reputation that stretched well beyond his age. His community described him as inspirational. On the evening of December 31st, 2016, Nye traveled to Paris with his girlfriend and a group of friends from the parkour world. They had come for the New Year's Eve celebrations, intending to watch the fireworks over the Eiffel Tower. The group boarded the Paris Metro Line 6 6, heading toward the celebrations. Dummenil Station was on their route. At some point during the journey, a friend unlocked a door between adjoining carriages. Nye climbed into the space between two moving carriages. The investigation and subsequent inquest conducted by coroner Andrew Bradley in England established that he had been attempting to take a selfie in the gap between the carriages. While positioned between the carriages of the moving train, he was struck in the head by a passing object. The blow was severe. A young man standing on a platform spotted what had happened and alerted a metro driver at approximately 11:20 p.m. on December 31st, 2016. Emergency services responded. Nye was taken to hospital by midnight. The post-mortem confirmed the injuries he had sustained: blunt force trauma to the head, a fractured skull, bleeding to the brain, and bruising. He was placed on life support. He died on New Year's Day, 2017. Coroner Andrew Bradley recorded a verdict of accidental death. The cause of death was formally confirmed as blunt force trauma to the head with a fractured skull. The Brewman community confirmed clearly that Nye had not been train surfing. He had climbed between the carriages. RATP, the Paris Metro Authority, confirmed that the victim was found between two wagons. Skyscraper Pullup, China. Wu Yongning had built something that would have been difficult to imagine in an earlier era. A career as a celebrity by filming himself, standing on the edges of skyscrapers. He was 26 years old and known across China as the country's first professional rooftopper. His Weibo account had over 1 million followers. He had posted more than 300 videos of himself, scaling towers, cranes, and high-rise buildings across China. Sitting on ledges with his legs dangling, performing slow stretches with nothing beneath him, standing upright at the corners of buildings, dozens of stories above city streets. The footage was precise and deliberate. He set up his own cameras, composed his own shots, and uploaded the results himself. By November of 2017, Wu was preparing what he intended to be one of his most significant performances. He had entered a roof-topping challenge that carried a prize of 100,000 yuan. He needed the money. His mother required medical treatment, and he had plans to propose to his girlfriend the day after the stunt was completed. He had chosen his location, the Huayuanhua Center in Changsha, Hunan Province, a 62-story tower. On November 8, 2017, Wu set up his camera at the edge of the building's roof and began his performance. He positioned himself, hanging from the roof's edge, his hands gripping the structure below the roofline, his body suspended above a drop that exceeded the height of most structures in the cities where most people live their entire lives. He began performing pull-ups, raising and lowering his full body weight repeatedly, with nothing beneath him. At some point during the pull-ups, his grip gave way. He fell 45 feet and landed on a terrace below the main roof. His body was discovered by a window cleaner. His girlfriend and family were not notified immediately. In the weeks that followed, there was no public announcement of his death. It was not until December 8th, approximately 1 month after the fall, that his girlfriend confirmed his death on Weibo. Local authorities investigated and ruled the death accidental. The Beijing Internet Court later ordered the Chinese live streaming platform Huajiao to pay 30,000 yen to Wu's family. The camera he had set up recorded the fall. Backflip, New York. Basilio Montilla had made parkour into something institutional in New York City, which required more persistence than raw athleticism. He was 28 years old and had worked for years to bring the discipline into formal educational and athletic spaces. He founded the first parkour program embedded within a New York City charter school system, creating what would become the longest-running program of its kind in the city. He taught at Chelsea Piers Fitness Center. He worked as a stunt performer, with credits including Blue Bloods and the Batman Chronicles. In the New York parkour community, he was known by the name Quiet, and those who trained with him described him as a gifted instructor and genuine mentor to younger practitioners. On October 24, 2015, Montilla was performing a backflip. The exact location within New York City has not been confirmed in sourced reporting. What is confirmed is the outcome. He struck his head. He died on October 24, 2015, from the injuries he sustained. He was 28 years old. In the days and weeks following his death, the parkour and movement community in New York responded with an outpouring of tributes. The Basilio Montilla Scholarship Fund was established by his family in his honor, designed to support movement education for young people in New York City. The Movement Creative was among the organizations that supported the fund's creation. His name continued to be spoken in the community he had built. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.